On April 30, 2019, two U.S. Air Force F-35A Lightning IIs executed the variant's first-ever combat mission, striking an ISIS tunnel network in Iraq. That strike validated the promise of a machine that is, by every measure, the most advanced and complex combat aircraft in the world. To its enemies, it is an invisible predator, a ghost that strikes from nowhere and vanishes without a trace. Depending on the variant, this single machine costs well over $100 million. But it doesn't become a lethal hunter on its own. The story of its power begins here, long before the sun touches the horizon, inside the cavernous, climate-controlled sanctuary of a fighter-generation squadron hangar. The air doesn't hum with the roar of jets, but with a quiet, focused, almost reverent intensity. Here, under the sterile glow of fluorescent lights, the F-35 sits not as a weapon, but as a patient on an operating table. Its skin, a deceptively simple shade of gray, conceals a universe of classified technology. The small army moving around it are not just mechanics. They are surgeons, neurologists, and armorers for a machine that is part jet, part supercomputer. Before this aircraft can dominate the battle space, these master technicians must transform it from a silent machine of composite and wire into the living, breathing tip of the spear. This isn't a story of simply kicking the tires and lighting the fires. It's a story of obsession, microscopic precision, and stakes measured in human lives. We are embedded with the team whose life's work is perfection. Their day begins with a preoperative huddle, where the dedicated crew chief, the lead sergeant responsible for this specific aircraft, lays out the plan. They are the primary care physician for a world-class athlete. But today is different. This jet isn't just flying a training pattern, it's being prepped for a full combat simulation. Every system will be pushed to its absolute limit, and failure is not a word anyone here entertains. The challenge they face is immense. The F-35's lethality and survivability depend on a delicate fusion of stealth, advanced sensors, and networked software. A single scratch in the wrong place, a single line of bad code, or one loose fastener can mean the difference between mission success and catastrophic failure. What these teams do here, in the quiet hours of the morning, will determine whether a pilot lives or dies hundreds of miles away in contested airspace. This is the untold story of how an elite Air Force squadron gets its prized predator ready for war. And we are going to show you exactly how they do it. The first and most secretive part of the process begins, a discipline known as low observables or LO. This is the team responsible for maintaining the F-35's near invisibility to radar, and their work is a demanding craft that is more art than science. The F-35 stealth isn't a magical cloaking device. It's the result of its revolutionary shape and, crucially, its highly advanced skin. This skin is a complex, multi-layered system of radar-absorbent materials and coatings, engineered to trap and dissipate incoming radio waves instead of reflecting them to an enemy receiver. Any damage, even a minor chip from routine operations or the stress of high-G maneuvers, can compromise this delicate system. It can create a hot spot, a tiny imperfection that a sophisticated enemy radar could detect, turning a ghost into a target. The sole mission of the LO team is to find and methodically fix these imperfections. This isn't a job learned from a manual, it requires extensive training and an artist's touch. The work is so specialized that other maintainers are often forbidden from removing certain panels, for fear of damaging the sensitive materials underneath. We watch as two LO technicians in protective gear perform a painstaking inspection. They move with glacial slowness, their eyes and hands scanning every inch of the airframe, feeling for any chipping, cracking, or peeling that could betray the jet in the sky. They find a small area on the razor-sharp edge of a weapons bay door that needs attention. Now the real artistry begins. This is not a simple touch-up job. The process is meticulous. First, the area is carefully masked off. LO maintainers are trained to prepare repairs in circular or oval shapes, avoiding the sharp corners of a square or rectangle which can create their own tiny, unwanted radar reflection. The damaged coating is then delicately abraded and removed. Using specialized tools, they prepare the surface at a microscopic level, ensuring the new material will bond perfectly with the aircraft's composite skin. What they apply next is a guarded secret, a precisely mixed chemical compound of radar-absorbing paint. The application must be flawless, smooth with practiced, steady hands. Technicians will say it's more like being an artist than a mechanic, seeing a piece from its damaged beginning to its perfect, invisible end. Once applied, the coating must cure, and this is where it gets even more complicated. The process is highly sensitive to the environment. The hangar's temperature and humidity are strictly controlled to ensure the material cures correctly, achieving its design durability and stealth properties. A special heating blanket might be applied to accelerate and control the process. Even after the repair is complete, it's not done. A portable device is used to scan the repaired area, a signature management tool that verifies the quality of the work, guaranteeing the jet's radar cross-section remains infinitesimally small. This entire process for one small repair can take many hours. And it's happening constantly across the fleet. The skin of this jet is its most important armor, and the LO technicians are the master armorers, working in the shadows to ensure the F-35 remains a ghost. It is a job that demands extreme patience and a deep understanding that their tedious work is what allows a pilot to slip through enemy defenses completely unseen. While newer materials have made maintaining the F-35 stealth easier than on older jets like the B-2 or F-22, the principle remains: perfection is the only standard. On the F-35, some radar-absorbent material is even baked directly into the composite skin itself, a design innovation that makes it far more durable. But the outer layers, the gaps between panels, and the areas around thousands of fasteners still require this constant, manual, and highly skilled attention. It's a critical part of combat readiness, and a major driver of the aircraft's staggering sustainment costs, which are now projected to top $2 trillion across the fleet's lifetime as it's expected to fly until 2088. While the LO team tends to the jet's skin, another equally critical operation is underway. This one is completely invisible, taking place in the realm of encrypted software and classified data. If the F-35's airframe is its body, its avionics and mission systems are its brain and nervous system. And before any mission, that brain must be programmed with the latest, most vital intelligence. This is where the avionics technicians come in. Their primary task is to load the mission data loads, or MDLs. Think of it this way: your smartphone's operating system allows it to function, but it's the apps, contacts, and real-time maps that make it useful. In this analogy, the F-35's core software is the operating system, but the mission data load is the entire library of apps, enemy profiles, and intelligence the pilot needs for a specific combat zone. Is what makes the jet smart. The MDL is a massive, highly classified data package tailored to a specific geographic area of operations. It contains everything the jet's powerful computers need to know about the battle space, including the signatures of all known enemy radars, the frequencies they use, the types of surface-to-air missiles they possess, and their likely locations. It also includes data on friendly forces, civilian air traffic corridors, and no-fly zones. This data is the secret sauce that allows the F-35's revolutionary sensor fusion to work. The jet's 360-degree sensors gather signals from the environment, and the MDL provides the context to decipher them in milliseconds, instantly telling the pilot if a radar signal is a harmless commercial airport or a hostile missile battery preparing to fire. The process of creating these files is monumental. A new MDL can take many months to build, test, and verify by specialized units like the 513th Electronic Warfare Squadron. They compile countless pieces of intelligence from satellites, spy planes, and other sources to essentially teach the F-35 how to think and distinguish friend from foe in a complex, shifting environment. Today, the avionics technician is loading a freshly verified MDL. He connects a ruggedized laptop to a secure port on the aircraft. The upload is encrypted and can take a surprisingly long time. This isn't like plugging in a USB stick. The system runs constant verifications to ensure not a single bit of data is corrupted. A bad MDL is a pilot's worst nightmare. If the data is wrong, the jet might not correctly identify an incoming threat, or even worse, could misidentify a friendly aircraft as an enemy. The entire premise of the F-35's godlike situational awareness hinges on the absolute accuracy of this data. That's why with each new version of the F-35's core software, the mission data has to be completely reprogrammed and rebuilt. There is no simple copy and paste. The jet's brain is also connected to a global network called the Operational Data Integrated Network, or ODIN. As the modern successor to the older, notoriously cumbersome ALICE system, ODIN is the logistical backbone for the entire F-35 fleet. It tracks the health of every component on every jet, schedules maintenance, and manages the global supply chain. After a flight, the jet uploads a wealth of diagnostic data to ODIN, detailing everything from engine performance to any faults that occurred. This allows maintenance crews to know what needs fixing the moment the jet lands and feeds a global intelligence database that makes future MDLs even more accurate. This seamless integration of hardware and software is what makes the F-35 a flying supercomputer. But it also highlights the profound reliance on the ground crews. The pilot is the operator, but the technicians on the ground are the ones who load its consciousness, who give it the knowledge it needs to see, understand, and dominate. The level of detail and specialization we're witnessing is staggering. From artists painstakingly repairing a stealth skin to software engineers loading the jet's consciousness, this is a side of military aviation most people never see. This is the hidden machinery that enables air superiority. If you find this look behind the curtain as fascinating as we do, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We have more exclusive access and deep dives into the world's most advanced technology coming up, and you won't want to miss it. Now back to the hangar. With the jet's stealth skin perfected and its digital brain loaded, the focus shifts to its heart and muscle, the incredible Pratt & Whitney F135 engine and the complex web of hydraulic and electrical systems that give it life. At its core is the F135, the most powerful and advanced engine ever put in a fighter jet. Evolved from the F-22 Raptor's F-119 engine, it produces more than 40,000 pounds of thrust with its afterburner engaged, enough raw power to push the F-35 to supersonic speeds of Mach 1.6 and perform breathtaking maneuvers. But all that power requires immense respect and meticulous care. The crew chief leads this phase. While LO and avionics are specialized fields, the crew chief is the jack of all trades, the master generalist responsible for the aircraft's overall health. Their knowledge must be encyclopedic, covering everything from hydraulics and fuel systems to landing gear, brakes, and cockpit electronics. It's a role that demands an almost parental sense of ownership over the aircraft. The pre-flight checks are a ballet of practiced, deliberate movements. Technicians move with a well-rehearsed rhythm, following a checklist hundreds of items long, leaving zero room for error. They inspect every fluid line, electrical connection, and mechanical valve. They check hydraulic fluid levels, ensuring the flight controls will respond with instantaneous precision. They examine the robust landing gear, tires, and high-performance braking systems, components that must withstand landing a 30-ton aircraft at over 150 miles per hour. One of the most critical steps is checking the fuel system. The F-35A model carries its nearly 18,500 pounds of fuel internally to maintain its stealth profile. The crew ensures there are absolutely no leaks and that the refueling systems are flawless. Even a few drops of fuel from a loose fitting isn't just a maintenance issue, it's a catastrophic fire hazard. Then comes the moment the jet truly wakes up. An external power card is connected, and the cockpit, dark and dormant moments before, flickers to life. The crew chief often climbs into the cockpit to run a series of systems checks. The panoramic display illuminates, a dazzling sheet of glass showing the status of every single system, all of which are constantly self-diagnosing. But technology never fully replaces the human element. The crew chief listens for the telltale sounds of fuel pumps whirring to life, the subtle clicks of relays engaging, and the hiss of hydraulic pressure building. They are so attuned to their jet's normal rhythm that they can often sense a problem before a sensor ever flags it. Experienced F-35 maintainers note that because the F-35 is a relatively new aircraft, many of its core systems are incredibly reliable. But they are always vigilant, knowing that as these jets age, the stress of flight will inevitably cause wear and tear. This operational complexity is a major factor in the F-35A's operating cost, which can be as high as $42,000 per flight hour. This financial reality adds another layer of pressure. Their diligence doesn't just keep the pilots safe, it protects a taxpayer investment of truly staggering proportions. The jet is healthy, intelligent, and powerful. It's time to give it its talents. Arming a modern stealth fighter is one of the most hazardous and high-stakes jobs on the flight line, performed by a specialized and highly respected team known as weapons loaders. To maintain its invisibility, the F-35 carries most of its weapons in two large internal bays. Hanging missiles on external pylons would create massive radar reflections, instantly compromising its stealth mission. This internal capacity is a cornerstone of its design. The ongoing Block 4 modernization effort is intended to expand the jet's capacity to carry even more weapons, though the massive upgrade has faced significant delays, with completion now not expected until at least 2031. Today, the simulated mission calls for a mix of air-to-air and air-to-ground ordnance. The weapons crew, identified by their distinctive red patches, approaches the task with somber focus. They move with an economy of motion, where every action is governed by strict technical orders and safety protocols. A mistake here isn't just damaging to a $100 million jet, it can be instantly lethal for everyone in the hangar. The bombs and missiles arrive on specialized carts called jammers. The team inspects every munition, checking for physical defects and verifying fuse settings. They communicate constantly, using a precise language of standardized hand signals and verbal callouts to ensure everyone is on the same page. Loading weapons into the internal bay is a feat of engineering. The loaders use a hydraulic lift to carefully position a 500-pound GBU-32 JDM bomb onto the weapons rack. The clearances inside the bay are measured in mere fractions of an inch. They guide the bomb into place with a surgeon's steadiness until a solid clunk signals it has locked securely. The lead loader then physically confirms it's secure. Next, they load the AIM-120 AMRAAM, the F-35's primary air-to-air missile. The slender, deadly weapon is carefully maneuvered into the bay and attached to its launch rail. Once all internal weapons are loaded, the bay doors close, returning the jet to its slick, clean, and stealthy configuration. The jet's avionics system is already communicating with the weapons, ready to feed them targeting information right up to the moment of release. The final piece of the puzzle is the gun. The Air Force's F-35A model has an internal 25mm G22/A cannon, capable of firing 3,300 rounds per minute. With only about 180 rounds on board, that firepower is spent in just over 3 seconds. But those 3 seconds can make all the difference in a close-in dogfight. The weapons team ensures the ammunition drum is loaded correctly and the system is armed. Watching the weapons team work is a study in controlled intensity. There is no wasted motion, no idle chatter. They are the final, critical link in the kill chain, the ones who give the invisible predator its lethal bite. Their pride is rooted in the precision and safety of their craft, ensuring that when a pilot hundreds of miles away presses a button, the right weapon comes off the rail and performs exactly as designed. The hangar is buzzing with the energy of final preparations. The LO repairs have cured, the mission data is loaded, the systems are checked, and the weapons are stowed. The jet is almost a living entity. Now begins the final, meticulous pre-flight inspection, a sacred ritual that rests on one person's shoulders. The dedicated crew chief takes center stage once more. They begin a final, comprehensive walk-around of the entire aircraft, a detailed, tactile conversation with the machine. The DCC runs their bare hands along the leading edges of the wings and tail, feeling for nicks or imperfections the eye might miss. They check every panel, ensuring all are securely fastened. A loose panel at Mach 1.6 could tear off catastrophically. They verify that the dozens of small static discharge wicks are intact. They meticulously look for any sign of leaks, the telltale sheen of hydraulic fluid, the pungent scent of jet fuel, or the dark stain of oil. They peer deep into the massive engine intake for any foreign object debris, or FOD. A single forgotten screw sucked into that engine would destroy the multi-million-dollar power plant in an instant. The flight line is kept surgically clean for this very reason. This walk-around is a deeply personal ritual. The crew chief knows this specific airframe better than anyone, even the pilots who fly it for a few hours at a time. They know its history, its quirks, its personality. Their signature in the aircraft's official logbooks is their personal guarantee, their word, that this machine is safe and ready for combat. It is a moment of immense professional and personal responsibility. As the crew chief completes the inspection, the pilot arrives, clad in a G-suit and carrying their advanced helmet. The pilot is the final component to be integrated into this vast weapon system. A profound, unspoken trust exists between the pilot and the crew chief, as the pilot is quite literally betting their life on the perfection of the ground team's work. The crew chief assists the pilot into the cockpit, strapping them into the ejection seat harness and connecting the helmet and oxygen mask to the aircraft's life support systems. The F-35 helmet is a technological marvel in itself, projecting all critical flight and targeting data directly onto the visor and allowing the pilot to see through the floor of the aircraft using a network of external cameras. The crew chief and pilot run through a final series of checks together. The pilot moves the flight controls. The crew chief on the ground visually confirms the movement of the ailerons, rudders, and elevators. Hands are clear, the crew chief signals, showing their empty hands to the pilot. With the pilot secure and all systems green, the canopy lowers with a powerful hydraulic hiss, sealing the pilot inside the high-tech cocoon. The crew chief gives a final, sharp salute, a gesture of respect, a transfer of ownership, and a final good luck. They pull the chocks from the wheels. The jet, now fully alive and straining against its brakes, is handed over to the pilot. The work of the ground crew is done. The Predator, pulsing with latent power, slowly taxis out of the hangar. The thunderous roar of its F-135 engine finally fills the air, a sound of immense, controlled violence. With clearance from the tower, the pilot pushes the throttle forward. The afterburner kicks in with a deafening boom, a brilliant plume of diamond-patterned fire erupting from the nozzle. The F-35 hurtles down the runway, rotating gracefully and climbing with breathtaking speed, soaring almost vertically into the sky. Within seconds, it is just a speck, disappearing into the vast blue expanse. What just launched was not merely a machine. It was the culmination of thousands of hours of intense, unseen, and thankless labor. It was the physical embodiment of the LO technicians' artistic dedication, the intellectual rigor of the avionics specialists, the power harnessed by the engine mechanics, and the deadly precision of the weapons loaders. Above all, it was the pride and professionalism of the crew chief, who owns the jet as if it were an extension of themselves. These men and women are the true, unsung guardians of the F-35. They don't fly the missions or get the headlines, but they are the master technicians who, day after day, transform a hangar queen into an invisible and lethal hunter. They are the ones who ensure that when the nation calls, the tip of the spear is sharp, ready, and utterly unstoppable. For every hero in the sky, there is a dedicated team of unseen heroes on the ground, making it all possible.